refugees flooded into that small area and to the West Bank, which sits to Israel's north. The West Bank was controlled by Jordan and Gaza by Egypt. But that changed after 6 days in 1967.
The so-called Six-Day War.
Tensions between Arab groups and Israel were rising.
Egypt, Jordan, Syria, Lebanon, and those areas wanted to see the creation again of an Arab state or a Palestinian state, but that would only come at the expense of Israeli territory.
Israel launched an air assault in June 1967 and won 6 days later. It took control of Gaza, beginning an occupation there. And
they had seized the West Bank and basically seized Jerusalem completely.
Jerusalem, perhaps the most significant spot on the map for the world's three biggest religions: Judaism, Christianity, and Islam.
The Hebrew Bible describes the city, is identified as the place where God lives. And that's why the Jerusalem temple was built there. In the New Testament, Jerusalem is a location where Jesus was crucified and resurrected. In Islam,
Following 17 stories to your death. That's what one mother says happened to her 19-year-old daughter while she was in Austin for the Texas versus Texas A&M football game. Coming up, we hear from that mother and those who live in the area.
And this investigation brought up a question. Do officers have to wait a certain number of hours to declare someone missing? The answer is no, and I'll tell you why.
Talking about when our next cold front arrives, turning us damp and raw outside, and some changes into the weekend in just a bit.
It is something you never want to see happen. Tonight, how a woman lost more than just her property in an early morning house fire. But first, we begin with late-breaking news this hour. Just moments ago, a man was escorted to jail by San Antonio police officers accused of sexual assault of a child.
So San Antonio police say this is an incident that happened between a student and an educator. Our Avery Everett is there at police headquarters downtown where this just unfolded. Avery, so what did police tell you about the suspect in this case?
Well, we're told that man is 46-year-old Eduardo Cantu. We're also told that he was a Harlandale ISD teacher, specifically at McCollum High School, and we now know that he's been charged with sexual assault of a child. That's why we saw him in handcuffs today, being escorted into jail, and that's when we were able to ask him questions. So take a look at this video. That comes from literally just 15 minutes ago. Now, he didn't say anything to our cameras, but I want to break down exactly what we know about this case. Cantu is 46 years old, like I said. SAPD says he is a teacher at McCollum High School. SAPD says the school's admin found out about this incident on November 10th involving Cantu and a teenage student. Admin contacted police. Police were able to obtain a warrant today, and he was arrested at the high school today. Now, we don't know more about the victim in this case or what exactly this incident was, but SAPD does say that they believe that there might be more victims out there. So if you know of anyone or you know of this man and possibly a relationship with the student, you are urged to contact SAPD. Now, we did reach out to Harlandale ISD for verification about Eduardo Cantu, but we also were able to look on their website, and it says mariachi under his name. That's all we have right now. As soon as we learn more from the school district and from SAPD, we'll keep you updated on KSAT.com. Reporting live, I'm Avery Everett, KSAT 12 News.
All right, Avery, thank you. KSAT is asking more questions tonight about the death of a 19-year-old Texas A&M student from Laredo. Brianna Aguilera fell to her death in Austin after the UT and A&M game on Friday.
Our John Paul Barajas has spent the day in Austin. He's live this evening. And I know, John Paul, you spoke to students who kind of live in that area. So how are they all feeling about this whole situation, a story that's actually made national headlines?
Ernie, Myra, it's a sense of shock, disbelief. How could this happen? We've been out here for a majority of the day. We've seen students walk by and they actually point up at the high rise as they speak about Brianna's death. Brianna's mother telling us that she fell 17 stories to her death. The other thing about that night is Brianna was doing what many students do after any big game, hanging out with friends or new groups of people.
I heard a lot of sirens because I was sleeping with her, and I was about to text her being like, what happened? I see a bunch of sirens, I hear a bunch of stuff, but I didn't know, obviously, it was right here.
It was all blocked off, so you had to go around because they had it blocked off like this whole area.
Since Brianna's death, Austin police has slightly changed their statement. Monday, they said her death was not being investigated as a homicide and that there was no signs of suspicious circumstances. Today, after several follow-up questions, APD said this remains an open and ongoing death investigation as the cause of the death has not been determined.
And it's just so unbearable and unimaginable what happened to her that night. And I don't have answers. I don't have any answers. What I was told was that she jumped off 17-story building in Austin at 21 on the Real, and that an innocent bystander had seen her, had called 911.
Brianna's mom says that she was in an apartment full of people and she finds it strange that a bystander called 911 and not someone who she was with. As for APD, they tell us that the investigation is ongoing and they're questioning witnesses at this time. We'll continue following this story and bring you the latest. In Austin, John Paul Barajas, KSAT 12 News.
All right, JP, thank you for that. We've had several conversations with Brianna's mother about her concerns with the investigation. And today, she again reiterated to our Courtney Friedman that when she called Austin police to report her daughter missing, they told her that they would have to wait 24 hours to deem someone missing.
So we wanted to know if that's common protocol. So Courtney checked in with local agencies as well as the woman who helped create the Clear Alert system for missing adults.
In 2017, Allison Steele lost her 19-year-old daughter, Trinity University student Kaylee Mondati, in what she says was a murder, though the suspect was only charged with aggravated assault.
After she died, I had no doubt in my mind that we needed to do more to fix the ability of Texas law enforcement to find missing adults.
So she and her husband helped create the Clear Alert, much like the Amber Alert for kids or Silver Alert for seniors.
Sheriff's offices, PDs, when they receive a request for service regarding a missing person, they conduct an initial evaluation and they determine whether or not there's enough information and enough of a threat to contact DPS.
In a case from this weekend, a Texas A&M student died in Austin. Brianna Aguilera's mother told KSAT she called Austin police when she couldn't reach her daughter, and she says they told her they had to wait 24 hours to declare her missing. Austin police told KSAT that because Brianna did not meet the criteria of a missing person, a report was not generated. But APD did not confirm whether or not they have a 24-hour missing persons protocol.
They should not be using the 24-hour rule because the Clear Alert legislation preempted all of that. That's not the way we do this anymore.
Bexar County Sheriff Javier Salazar agrees.
Our policy says nothing about a 24-hour waiting period. My agency here at the Sheriff's Office, and I can tell you, having worked at the San Antonio Police Department for many things, it's not a thing.
So you get a call for a missing person and you immediately make a report regardless?
We get the call and we make the report. And we'll still begin our search of that person, a literal search.
Even if they're not in grave danger?
Even if we don't believe they're in grave danger.
Salazar hopes law enforcement agencies will clear up myths about this with their own officers, and he hopes the public doesn't wait to take action.
If you're in doubt, call us.
That's the same advice Steele has for anyone who believes their loved one is missing or in danger.
The more specific they can be right out of the starting blocks, the better it's going to turn out. I always encourage people, have a Find My Friends, have a system in place so that you know where your loved ones should be.
Courtney Friedman at KSAT 12 News.
We also asked the San Antonio Police Department about its missing person protocol, but we have not heard back.
Well, a woman was left picking up the pieces after an early morning house fire on the northeast side. So this was the scene just after 4 this morning at the home on Radiance Drive. That's near 410 and Eisenhower Road. Crews arrived to flames and smoke coming from one of the rooms. Now, the woman did escape from the home without getting hurt. Sadly, her dog was killed in the fire, and she says her cat is still missing. Crews are still working to learn exactly what caused the fire, but they say a room heater could be to blame.
A lot of heaters turned on right now because of this cold, Adam, and there's a couple days in particular you're watching for it to get really cold.
Yeah, and that's Thursday and Friday, where it's just going to be in the 40s all day, both Thursday and Friday. And it's not only just going to be cold, but of course we'll have the thick clouds and even some dampness coming and going. A return to that kind of weather, and that's Thursday, Friday. No, the rain chance is at 40%. Basically scattered activity off and on here and there throughout Thursday and Friday. Also some drizzle mixed in between some of those showers, but generally light rain for the most part. So we had a lot of sunshine today, but what I'm looking at are some clouds over the Pacific that are heading into western and northwestern Mexico. That's going to help us out a little bit and has some upper level energy with it. That's going to combine with a cold front that's dropping southward. Right now, that cold front in the central plains headed southward. It should make it here Thursday morning, sometime around sunrise, and just help set the stage for a chilly day. 40s all day long on Thursday. Then you add the dampness to it and a bit of a gusty wind. We'll get into how windy it's going to be and how much rain we could get and where coming up in a few minutes.
All right, thanks, Adam. A Live Oak police internal affairs investigation is looking into comments made by one of its officers during a state tax seizure.
It's a story that is airing later tonight on the Night Beat. KSAT Investigates Dylan Collier is joining us in studio this evening to give us a little bit of a preview. So, Dylan, good evening.
Good evening to you. Yeah, this is an incident that happened in June inside Uncharted Adventures and Entertainment venue. Officer Jacob Esquivel was recorded on his own body-worn camera falsely accusing the business of hiding funds from the Texas Comptroller's office, serving alcohol to minors, and skimming money from card games. Owner Damon Fogley says he's been targeted by the city for years.
Very apathetic towards my needs as a business. This city goes out and says that they're business friendly, but then my personal experience indicates otherwise.
Tonight on the Night Beat, how this dispute landed Fogley in criminal court. Myra, Ernie.
All right, Dylan, thank you. Let's take a look at traffic out there right now. We're going to take you to this camera. 281 at Jones-Maltzberger. It's typically slow going in the southbound lanes, especially this time of day. No major accidents, though, or any construction, just the typical flow of traffic. Heads up for tomorrow. Don't forget to join us for a KSAT Community Town Hall. It's all about how to protect yourself and how to recover from scams this holiday season.
So this is happening tomorrow, again, December 3rd at 11 a.m. For more information, you can visit ksatcommunity.com. I have more to come on the news at 6, including the apparent shift in wealth building. Coming up at 6:30, why more and more young people are investing in the stock market.
Plus, drivers have been enjoying some slightly lower prices at the pump in recent days, but could that be changing? We'll show you where prices stand in San Antonio and across the state.
Is San Antonio driving too fast? Inside a plan to possibly lower some speed limits in San Antonio.
San Antonio police made nearly a 30% increase in DWI arrests compared to last year during Thanksgiving week. So coming up tonight on the Night Beat, we'll break down those numbers and we'll talk to the people who are trying to change these statistics.
All right, here's a question. Does San Antonio need to slow down? The city is considering a plan to test drive lower speed limits in neighborhoods.
But Garrett Berger tells us a full rollout of that could still be a ways down the road. So Garrett, how did this idea come about?
Well, it started with a request earlier this year by a Northwest Side councilwoman who asked to drop down the prima facie speed limits in neighborhood streets. Now, that's the term for the speed limit you're supposed to assume it is if there's not a sign saying otherwise. State law sets it at 30 miles per hour, but cities can bring it down to 25. Now, you can scan the QR code on your screen to tell us what you think about that idea, but even the first step towards that could take some time.
Quiet neighborhood streets aren't always quiet. Here in Monticello Park, Neighborhood Association President Bianca Maldonado says speeding and distracted driving are an issue.
This isn't the only problematic area. We've had T-bone accidents throwing cars on their sides where people are running stop signs because they're speeding.
And she's happy her councilwoman, Marina Alderete-Cavito, has proposed lowering the speed limit on neighborhood streets from 30 miles per hour down to 25.
You think lower speed limits could help prevent stuff like that?
I think it'll make people more conscientious of being concerned for life safety in a neighborhood.
In her original request, Alderete-Cavito asked the city to prioritize changing speed limits on streets near parks, schools, and community centers. City staff say they can try out a pilot program in part of her district. They just need her to tell them where.
There's that long-term solution of looking at it citywide. We know that that's going to take a long time, so we're looking for a more immediate solution.
But it's not clear how immediate that could be. Before they change a speed limit, there has to be an engineering study. They also need signage and public notification.
I think Public Works is saying that there's no money in their budget, but we can figure something out.
Okay. When do you hope that you might be able to actually have it happen then?
The sooner the better, but I think we need to look through options.
Staff also say the city has looked at lowering the speed limit before, and on its own, it doesn't make much of a difference.
You have to add the other traffic calming frictions, as Mr. Paterick said, in order to really lower the speed limit.
But the idea still revs some engines.
I think anything that you can do to improve safety in neighborhoods is worth 5 miles per hour.
Garrett Berger, KSAT 12 News.
All right, so you saw the question there up during that story. This is where you come in. We're asking, should San Antonio lower its default speed limit from 30 to 25 miles an hour?
And the results are much closer than they were an hour ago, about 56-44 right now, but there's still time for you to vote. So again, ksat.com/poll, or get your device and click that QR code, and we would love to hear from you.
Yeah, we'll see how it changes by 10 o'clock, right?
All right, very good.
Temperature is certainly changing by 10 o'clock, and we're watching the next couple of days as well, Adam.
Yeah, tomorrow's going to be a fine day. Just chilly in the morning at 38, afternoon will be in the 60s. It's really Thursday we're focusing on, but also Friday. I think more so Thursday because that's when it's really going to be a raw day from a cold front, windy, damp, and cold. In the 40s all day on Thursday, and pretty much the same on Friday, just not as windy. Rain, a little bit of drizzle, and then light rain. Just periods of light rain Thursday on into Friday, and then we clear out by the weekend. So this weekend, good timing for the weather pattern to shift, especially for the marathon runners on Sunday morning. Looking very good. We'll get to those details in a moment. First, let's talk about the rain chances. And here's that moisture from the Pacific I was talking about earlier. The upper level winds pushing that overhead into Texas gradually as we get into tomorrow, and then especially on into Thursday and even lingering into Friday. And with that, some upper level energy that's going to go up and over this cold front that arrives around sunrise on Thursday. And then once that front moves through, we have some extra moisture overrunning the cold air, and just the ingredients are there for kind of a typical cold front for this time of year, for the winter time, when we get just gray, somewhat drizzly, periodic dampness throughout an entire day. That's Thursday for you. If we're lucky, a few more moderate to heavy showers could pop up here and there, but I think that's really going to be the exception rather than the norm. For the most part, we'll just see some areas of light rain coming and going, mixed in with some pockets of drizzle here and there. So overall dampness Thursday and Friday. As for overall accumulations, don't get too excited right now. I mean, we're talking, if you're lucky, some of the luckiest neighborhoods could get up to about an inch of rain. Okay, and that's in this the darkest green color, but that's really going to be the exception. And I think by and large, you'd be fortunate to see about a ½ inch of rain. I'd be thrilled if I got a ½ inch at my house from this next cold front and shift in our pattern for Thursday and Friday. So not only is it going to be a little damp, of course, and we can use the moisture, so I don't think it's going to be enough to really boost the aquifer or anything. Either way, it's going to be windy and raw. 26-mile-per-hour gusts throughout the day. 26, possibly 25 to 30 miles per hour, basically is what we're looking at for the gusts throughout the day on Thursday, combined with the colder temperatures. Now, speaking of temperatures, we're down to 49 right now. Dew point of 31. Factor in that light breeze, feels like 45. A clear sky out there, so temperatures falling off pretty quickly. Right now, we do have some 50s farther to the west of town, but everybody's going to cool off quickly with the clear sky, the gentle wind, and the very dry air. By 10 o'clock, we're at 45, midnight 43, and tomorrow morning, not as cold as what we had earlier today, but still feeling the chill. 38 here in town, and some low to mid 30s in the hill country, whereas earlier this morning, a good chunk of the hill country had a brief light freeze. So 38 at 7 a.m. tomorrow, so sweatshirt, jacket weather in the morning for sure. And then by noon, we're already up to 60 degrees, and then about mid 60s for the high temperature. But notice the increasing clouds tomorrow. That upper level moisture coming in from the Pacific, increasing the clouds, and then we could have a few sprinkles by tomorrow night, and then especially on into Thursday. Enjoy the 60s to near 70-degree temperatures that we have tomorrow, because Thursday and Friday, we're stuck in the 40s. pretty much all day. So chilly, kind of raw conditions, especially when you don't have the sun to warm you up. Sun returns this weekend with highs back near 70. By the way, marathon runners Sunday morning, sunrise temp, 53. Not bad. Here's a live look outside from our live cam overlooking 410 and the airport. Off in the distance there, off to the left, and clear sky right now. So enjoy a little bit of sunshine tomorrow before it gets raw on Thursday.
Okay, but it is Giving Tuesday today. And it is a day to give back. But you don't have to donate money to make a difference. Still ahead on the news at 6, we're going to show you a great way to give back, and it won't cost you a single dime.
Well, people have been paying less to fill up their tanks lately, but things are about to change.
Yeah, so we spoke with the head of petroleum analysis at Gas Buddy, and he told us that after last week's big price drop, don't be surprised if prices start to rise this week. Markets like Texas, Colorado, the Great Lakes, even Florida often go through price cycling. That's a pattern that lasts about 1.5 to 2 weeks.
Prices plummet for about a week and a half or two until stations are selling at or below their cost. That causes then stations to re-raise prices back to where they should have been. And I think that's going to happen later this week. So watch out for a big potential jump at pump this week. It has nothing to do with the price of oil, but everything to do with the fact that prices plummeted very quickly.
Gas Buddy projects that average national price at the pump on Thanksgiving dropped to $3.02. So to put things in perspective here, as of today, the national average for a gallon of gas is right at $3. San Antonio's average for a gallon is $2.51, and the state average is $2.57.
All right, nonprofits across San Antonio and the country are coming together today to encourage donation. It's known as Giving Tuesday, which is observed every year on the Tuesday after Thanksgiving.
It's all about the power of giving back to groups who might need a little bit of help. One example is Respite Care San Antonio. It is an organization that provides child care for children with special needs and their parents. This nonprofit says this year has been hard on the whole community, and federal budget cuts mean that the money organizations have earned through grants is in jeopardy.
It's also important for budgets. It's also important for planning purposes. And I always find it so interesting that the percentage of giving from those that have the least amount of funds is the highest.
If you would like to help, but you are on a budget yourself, there are other things you can give besides money. Organizers at the South Texas Blood and Tissue Center say the need for blood donations has been especially high this year, and demand always goes up during the holidays.
Those needs could be people scheduling surgeries towards the end of the year, childbirth. There's always a need for cancer patients, which some people don't realize, and unfortunately, accidents due to travel during the holidays.
Right now on our website, KSAT.com, you can read more about Giving Tuesday and how you can get involved. Just look for this article.
Still ahead on the news at 6, why more and more young people are investing in the stock market. We'll get a live report from Atlanta coming up in just a few minutes.
Housing market conditions like low affordability and high interest rates are shaping the way that many young Americans think about their finances.
Right, so in 2024, the share of 25-year-olds who use investment accounts was 37% versus just 6% for 25-year-olds 1 decade ago. That's according to new data from the J.P. Morgan Chase Institute.
CNN correspondent Ivan Rodriguez joining us live from Atlanta this evening. Ivan, what can you tell us about this shift in wealth building strategies?
Well, Ernie, Myra, affordability has been a long-standing conversation for many American families, but in recent years, it's escalated into a national crisis because of high inflation and a widening wealth gap. Now, younger Americans are searching for wealth-building opportunities in the stock market while putting off home ownership. For past generations of Americans, owning a home has helped to build wealth. Today, younger Americans are putting their eggs into a different basket, the stock market.
For young investors, that they can continue to buy the dip. And we've seen that playing out with a 6-fold increase in the number of young people who are investing in stocks.
New data from the J.P. Morgan Chase Institute shows over 1/3 of 25-year-olds have investment accounts, all while the average age of first-time home buyers rose to an all-time high of 38 in 2024, according to the National Association of Realtors.
It's a really interesting shift in how Americans are building wealth.
these days.
George Eckert, research director of the J.P. Morgan Chase Institute, says the shift began in 2022 after the rise in home prices impacted housing affordability.
If you don't have what it takes to make a down payment and handle monthly mortgage expense with interest rate at 30-year fixed above 6% and high home prices, then your options are relatively limited.
Part of the reason younger Americans may be more optimistic about the stock market could be because of a lack of long-lasting downturns in recent years.
If you haven't seen a significant downturn, it might feel like, this is a kind of one-way directional game.
In terms of what the future could hold for young Americans' financial decisions, Eckert says interest rates will be a significant factor as they may decline more than home prices. More younger Americans may be investing in the stock market today versus 10 years ago because investment accounts have become increasingly accessible. Investment minimums and trading costs have fallen, according to the J.P. Morgan Chase Institute. Ernie, Myra.
All right, so Ivan, with more younger Americans investing in the stock market, as you mentioned, do experts have concerns for how they actually manage their investments?
One of the concerns for them has to do with financial education. The J.P. Morgan Chase Institute says with more younger people investing, financial literacy needs to adapt, especially because a broader part of the population will face tax implications of capital gains, which could bring financial surprises, especially around tax time.
So in the middle of the affordability concerns that a lot of Americans have right now, are lower income individuals still investing in the stock market?
It's interesting because not only are lower income Americans investing, but they have increased their investing activity somewhat more than higher income Americans, according to the J.P. Morgan Chase Institute. Their research shows that as of May of this year, the share of people with below median incomes transferring funds to investment accounts was about 5 times higher than the average over 2010 to 2015. So it's a sign of people, again, trying to build wealth how they can.
All right, Ivan Rodriguez, thank you so much.
Okay, let's get back out to Adam because, again, not too bad temperature-wise today, but later in the week could get a little interesting.
Yeah, it's going to be rather raw by Thursday and Friday. Today we had a chill in the morning, 35 degrees, and parts of the hill, actually a good chunk of the hill country, had a light freeze this morning. 35 officially at the airport this morning, then 56 in the afternoon. The sunshine helped us out a lot. Now, tomorrow morning, still chilly, just not as cold. Gonzales, 35, Rio Medina. 38, I think, within town, within 1604 and 410. And then in the hill country, just a degree or two shy from the freezing point. You look locally, and tomorrow morning, low temperatures, well, actually, they'll be more like the upper 30s than the 40s that you see there. So notice our temperature trend for the mornings. Back into the 40s on Thursday. The thing is about Thursday, we basically stay right in the 40s. You're not going to see a change throughout the day. Friday, 42 in the morning, not much of a change through the afternoon. Just some up and down temperatures again on the way. High temperatures will see a bit of a roller coaster as well. And we do have, of course, the rain right around the corner. We're talking Thursday and Friday. I think especially Thursday, not just shower activity, but some drizzle mixed in. I'll have the Futurecast talk about how much rain we can get and where. Plus the core of the cold air, how cold it is, and where it's headed in just a bit.
All right, thanks, Adam. Still ahead here at 6 o'clock. Good grades in college don't always translate to landing a job right after graduation, but one of our local universities hopes to change that through a new program. We'll tell you more about that after the break.
Hello runners, the inaugural San Antonio Marathon is coming up this weekend, and we want to hear from you about your personal journey leading up to all the events this weekend. So we're talking about the 5K, the half marathon, and the full marathon. We will be collecting your videos and your pictures all this week. So just head over to ksat.com/connect and select the Outdoors channel and the Activities category when you're uploading your pictures and videos for a chance to be featured on air and online. Happy running!
Well, recent college grads know there can often be a pretty big gap between academic success in school and launching a career in the real world. That is something Our Lady of the Lake University hopes to tackle with the help of HEB.
And you see how big the help was. The school today announced the Workforce Readiness Initiative, a program made possible through a nice grant from HEB.
So our crews were there for the announcement today. We spoke with the university president about how those funds are going to be used.
The grant, which HEB has afforded us, is going to do a number of things. First off, it's going to affect positively 600 of our undergraduate students. We're going to provide paid internships to our students, networking opportunities, workshops and trainings, and also mentoring opportunities so that our students could step into the workforce immediately upon graduation.
Dr. Chavez went on to say that many of the students who will benefit from this program are first-generation college students.
Here's a look at what is coming up tonight on ABC Primetime at 7 o'clock. Right after this show, it is Dancing with the Stars. Then at 8, CMA Country Christmas. At 9, it's What Would You Do? A Holiday Edition. Followed, of course, by the Night Beat right back here at 10.
Okay. Live cam again on this Tuesday night. Again, brisk outside, but Adam tracking some cooler temperatures. And I know the marathon this weekend, the 5K on Friday night, my son's running in that, so I'm a little nervous for him.
Yeah, I know, and we often focus on just that Sunday morning, but there's events, all weekend long, and most of the weekend's going to be fine. Friday night, I think conditions will start to improve. It's just still going to be a little cool and somewhat damp out there. Now, tomorrow, or I should say tomorrow's just fine. It's Thursday. We get into the damp, raw conditions, gusty winds, chilly in the 40s all day. So the focus is really on Thursday, then even Friday, where it's jacket weather all day long with some areas of rain. Don't get too excited about accumulations, but we'll take a look at what the latest potential is from the new high-res model that just came in. And the weekend, at least we're going to clear out for that. And we'll talk about the conditions for the full marathon on Sunday morning in just a bit.
Bruising and even death. For more than a year, KSAT Investigates has been digging into the violence educators are facing at school. We know there's a lot of stories that we haven't heard, and we need your help to tell them. If you're an educator who's been injured in the classroom by a student or the parent of a student who's seen it happen, we want to hear from you. Reach out to us. What you share could help us tell more stories about what's really going on at schools.
Well, we're getting a better idea of the details of 2 new investment accounts for America's kids.
The president unveiling the so-called Trump accounts, plus a historic donation from a tech giant family for millions of children. ABC's Melissa Adon with those details.
At the White House today, the president announcing a new kind of investment for the future.
This will give millions of dollars, millions of children, middle-class families a stake in American prosperity, a benefit from the rising stock market, and a better shot at the American dream.
The new so-called Trump accounts are a key part of President Trump's signature tax and spending legislation passed earlier this year. They start with a $1,000 deposit from the Treasury Department into accounts for children born January 1st of this year through 2028. When they turn 18, they can withdraw the money to put towards their education, a home, or a business. The White House says the funds must be invested in an index fund that tracks the stock market, and accounts for some of their kids are getting a $1 billion boost.
We all understand the incredible impact that a gift like this can have on the lives of young Americans.
The billionaires behind Dell Technologies, Michael and Susan Dell, today making the biggest single private commitment made to U.S. children. Michael and Susan Dell donating $6.25 billion to 25 million children 10 and younger, giving them $250 each. The Dell donation will go into savings accounts for kids who live in zip codes with a median family income of $150,000 or less and who don't qualify for the $1,000 federal newborn accounts.
We believe that when children have a future that they can see is worth saving for, then that will help build hope and opportunity and prosperity.
Now, there are still logistical questions about the donations, but according to Invest America, signups for the accounts are expected to open next summer. Melissa Adon, ABC News, Los Angeles.
You might be paying a lot more for less this holiday season because of shrinkflation. That is referencing paying the same price for something, but you're getting less product for it. Well, according to Salesforce, online shopping in the U.S. rose by 3% on Black Friday, but that's partly because prices were up 7%. The actual number of orders placed fell 1% compared to Black Friday last year. Salesforce also saying that big tariff increases are pushing prices higher.
However, people are buying more expensive items like luxury goods and home goods. As far as spending, though, a Gallup report showed low to middle income households plan to spend less this holiday season, and high income families say they plan to spend a little bit more than they did last year.
All right, from spending to giving, Salvation Army of San Antonio asking our community to come together this holiday season. They have launched their Red Kettle campaign once again, helping to provide Christmas meals and year-round support for those in need. Donations are used to fight poverty, homelessness, and addiction, and also provide food, shelter, and training, as well as disaster relief.
So next time you hear those bells ringing, consider a donation. You can scan the QR code on your screen right now to learn more and to get involved.
All right, to the forecast now. Adam, you know, the chill hits a little different when there's some sunshine to go along with it, right?
Exactly. You feel it more when it's just cloudy and gray, but when you have the sun, it helps out quite a bit. The difference is Thursday, Friday, we're not going to have the sunshine. And notice how the temperature basically just holds steady all day on Thursday, right around 46 degrees. Friday, not much of a change from 42 in the morning to 50 in the afternoon. So basically 40s about all day long. So get ready for the chill both Thursday and into Friday. So let's talk temperatures across the state. We made it to 56 here in San Antonio, but you look at that compared to average, and we were 8 degrees below average throughout the day. Really, that's a comparison as a whole, and a good chunk of the state below average again today. There's some colder air out there. Not exactly the coldest of the year, but some 20s, 30s, and teens in the northern U.S. Not all that abnormal for this time of year. The core of the cold air up in Canada. I love to check these temperatures. 28 below, 22 below, 18 below, teens below zero. That's the real core of the cold air. And we will see that core of the cold air drop southward into the lower 48. But the coldest of the air staying far away from us. We'll get clipped by that front. And on Thursday, we'll have the north wind impacting our temperatures along with the low gray clouds. Then another cold air mass drops in to the northern U.S. We get clipped by that cold front and just get a little taste of slightly cooler temperatures, not really impacting us much by this upcoming weekend. So actually the weekend is actually going to look and feel pretty good. So here's the big picture for the rain chances. Upper level counterclockwise swirl, that disturbance that's out over the Pacific, that's throwing the moisture onshore and basically over northwestern Mexico, then that streams over Texas by this time tomorrow, increasing clouds. You look at the rain chances, we're at about 40% for the actual showers. I think drizzle is going to be a little more widespread than that. And overall accumulations, not all that exciting right now. I mean, we'll take what we can get, but I want to walk you through the future cast. And notice here, we get into tomorrow afternoon and evening, the clouds are increasing, starts to get more gray as we approach sunset tomorrow evening. Then we get into Thursday morning, and at that point we have a few of the light showers developing. If we're lucky, a few heavier, more moderate areas of rain indicated by the yellow and red colors. Again, that would be, I think, if we're fortunate and lucky. But in between some of those passing showers, we're looking at areas of drizzle and some sprinkles mixed in. It's not going to be continuous, just overall, when you average out Thursday and even into a good chunk of Friday, you're going to remember dampness. Now, here's a look at the potential rainfall as a whole. And this is actually the newest model that just came in. And it shifts the higher potentials, which are 1/2 inch to 1 inch. And I think if you could squeeze out 1 inch, you'd be really fortunate in this scenario. But it shifts them a little bit farther south of San Antonio. I actually agree with this scenario because I think most of the upper level support and energy will be just south of Highway 90 for the most part and just south of downtown. But it's the rain lottery, and as usual around here, it's the luck of the draw. So we'll keep you updated and check the radar trends, of course, as we get into tomorrow night and into Thursday. Not only that, a gusty north wind, about 20 to 30 miles per hour throughout the day on Thursday. Not as bad as winds that we've seen lately, but still noticeable. Temps falling through the 40s this evening. We start the day tomorrow chilly in the upper 30s, 60s by the afternoon. Then this weekend, Sunday morning marathon sunrise at 53, then 70 in the afternoon.